Hey everyone, this is Michael Espinosa, the blind man of Blind Man Gaming. You may be wondering why I am not, in fact, gaming right now. The reason for that is that apparently extensive playing of Diablo 3 really stresses my eyes and puts them in a bit of a discomfort and light sensitivity. Hence the stereotypical blind man shades I've got going on here. But no worries, I will be back to playing games probably next week, doing my typical demon slaying in Diablo and devouring people as Mileena in Mortal Kombat. But for this week, I just wanted to take a moment to talk with you all about something that's pretty significant to me, and something that you may have been hearing a bit about lately. That is accessibility in gaming. Now, with Pokemon Go having just come out, you're probably seeing, as I've seen, a handful of articles with titles like Pokemon Go creates barrier for gamers with disabilities, or Pokemon Go dropped the proverbial Pokeball when it comes to accessibility. Those articles are both correct and incorrect at the same time. And what do I mean by that? First of all, they're absolutely correct. Pokemon Go is not accessible for people with any sort of movement or dexterity issues. The game is totally unplayable, or at least relatively, I'd assume. For people with visual disabilities, it's likewise unplayable. Despite Apple having the VoiceOver program built into iOS and thus available for all developers, it wasn't utilized, and so the program remains the game remains unusable. I can stand next to someone who's holding my phone and playing the game for me, but it makes me kind of ornamental to my own game. It makes me not so much the player as the observer, which I guess sounds kind of ironic coming from a guy who makes Let's Plays. But that said, the articles are correct in that regard, but they are also not entirely correct. Because by saying things like Pokemon Go creates a barrier, or Pokemon Go drops the proverbial Pokeball, that suggests that the barrier didn't exist before, or that someone was holding the ball before. And that's simply not the case. Accessibility in gaming has been an issue before Pokemon Go, and it will continue to be an issue. Now, I understand why the articles picked out Pokemon Go. It's a very popular game, and so mentioning it in your article is likely to get a lot of traffic to your site. And at the same time, also, it is kind of important to use Pokemon Go because there's a huge media spotlight on it right now. People are paying attention to it. So if we call out accessibility issues with regard to Pokemon Go, they'll get a little bit more attention. That being said, I think it's really important that we not focus solely on Pokemon Go or act like this problem is unique to that game, because it's absolutely not. We've had accessibility problems in gaming forever, and that can be fixed. That can absolutely be fixed. There are so many games with accessibility options that don't even mean for them to be accessibility options, or little moments of accidental accessibility, as I like to call it. For example, two instances come to mind immediately in the game Fable. First of all, in Fable 2, you have the breadcrumb trail, as they call it, or I just call it the sparkly trail. A little trail of dots that leads you to your objective. They're convenient and easy to see if you have even some relatively low vision, and even if you don't. If there's no combat going on, then you can lock on target to the dots and follow them to your objective, which is awesome. It'll automatically follow them if you push forward while locked on. Also in Fable, the narrator, Teresa, will describe your skills when you're picking them. If you're picking out, like, slow time, for instance, she'll say what slow time does. Which, I mean, we all know what slow time does, but it's very useful because it lets you know what skill you're selecting before you upgrade it, and spend all those precious XP. Also, in BioWare games, which is a really good example as well, you'll find that in a lot of them, where you use on the console, that is, where you use the triggers to click or to select between interactable objects, or the L2 and R2 buttons, that's actually very accessible because it allows you to enter a room and cycle through all of the interactive objects and go through each of them, which can be super useful. Or it can cause you to just click on the same guy over and over and over and over again and have the same conversation, because there's no way out of that. But no, I mean, it's totally usable. In Mortal Kombat, we have moments like your characters making noises before they're selected. Mileena has this little growl she does. Goro does a big old roar. Kenshi does something shiny sounding with his sword. And then the announcer, yells out their name when you select them. So it's very accessible. You know who you're going to pick. Now, those are just a few examples of accidental bits of accessibility. And if those were implemented, it's not hard to go the extra mile, to go a little bit farther. It's not even an extra mile. That's an exaggeration. It could so easily be done. There are so many little features that could just be tweaked, and they could be optional. They don't have to be forced upon the gamers, all gamers. But when people hear accessibility, they think, oh no, we have to overhaul our whole game. We have to yank out all the graphics and put all the text in Braille. And no, please don't do that. We can't touch the Braille. Don't do that. But my point being that it's not as daunting a task as it seems. It's totally viable to make accessible gaming a thing. It's totally manageable to add little features for the blind, for the deaf and hard of hearing, for those with dexterity or movement disabilities. It's absolutely possible. Whether it's audible menus for the blind, or whether it's better subtitling and sound captioning for the deaf and hard of hearing, who can then have subtitling that includes the tone, the cadence of speech, sound captioning that lets them know where sounds are coming from and what sounds are being heard. It's entirely a viable thing to do. Mortal Kombat, going back to MKX, they have a subtitle option, but the subtitles only appear in story mode or at the end of the classic towers, at least I assume, with that latter one, which means that the pre-fight dialogue, all that nice custom pre-fight stuff, and then the in-game chatter is totally missed out on with regard to subtitling, so the deaf and hard of hearing don't get to enjoy that. And that's unfortunate, because it's really fun. It's funny, it's clever, and it's really good stuff. So developers, if they can just go just a little bit farther, just a few steps farther, and these things, like I said, they can all be optional. Audible menus, objectives that have some sort of sound beacon, anything like that for the blind. That's the community I can speak for the most, because that's the community of which I'm a part. And when the developers either drop the ball, choose to drop the ball, or simply are no longer working on a game, and so it can't be modified any further, there's still things that can be done. And that's when it comes to the community, when it comes to other gamers. I recently posted on the Game FAQs message board for Diablo 3 and asked if someone could help me out with my wizard character. And I got a wonderful response. Inside of a day, I got a friend request from someone who's asked to remain nameless, and they gave me incredible top-tier items, and they guided me through several rifts to help level up my character, which was so nice. And the way they did that was amazing, because we tried to use audio chat to guide me through, but the headset and mic didn't work. Thank you very much, Sony. But what this person did was cast very bright spells around their character, which appealed to my minimal light sensitivity and allowed me to know which direction to go in. It was an innovation just made on the spur of the moment by a clever gamer, and that's what it's all about. When the developer has made accessibility an issue, then other gamers rise to the challenge, and that's awesome. The idea of the community reaching out to bring someone into the game who wants to enjoy it and who wants to be able to participate fully. That is what it should all be about, being a community. And we are a community, so we've got to watch each other's backs. We're like one giant party. And just like every party has their tank, their AoE person, their stat buff person, their healer, we need an innovator. We need someone who can be this person, who makes sure that everybody is getting included and everybody is getting to play to the fullest extent of their ability. And that person doesn't have to just be relegated to one individual. That role can belong to everyone. Everyone can work together to make gaming inclusive. Developers can do it. Gamers can do it. We can work together and we can make games or make the process of gaming something that everyone can enjoy and appreciate. I know that gaming's just a hobby. It's a recreational activity. But it's fun, it's relaxing, it's cathartic, it's thought-provoking, it's creative, it's inspirational, it's something that we all get a lot of joy from, and it's something that we should all have equal ability to participate in. I know a lot of blind folks play chiefly fighting games because they don't have a lot of other options. Fighting games are the most accessible because you're not really having to navigate a lot. But they should have more options. We should have more options. Everyone absolutely should have all the options to play all the games, and that's what accessibility is about. It's not about overcomplicating things or watering things down or making them impossible for sighted or able-bodied people to enjoy. It's just about making an option wherein everyone else can enjoy it too. And we can all have fun, and we can all game as one greater gaming community. And I think that's totally possible, and I think we can absolutely get there together. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Blind Man Gaming. Please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. I encourage you to do all of those things because it lets me know you're out there and you enjoy my making these videos, which I will gladly continue to do because I'm having a great time and I truly appreciate your interest and enthusiasm. Thank you all so much, and whenever and wherever you're watching this, I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, or night. And so to my viewers, I say farewell.